I see you found our little hiding spot in the universe. Don't get too comfortable. This is a place where you will find those with an experience that's out of this world, or possibly deep within your life. I welcome you to the Oracles with James Tyson. Lean forward and listen. We will pull you into a supernatural journey with guests from around the world, each one experiencing some of the most extraordinary phenomena this wee planet has to offer. Now, here are the Oracles with James Tyson.
Thank you, Liam, and thank you, listener, for tuning into today's episode of The Oracles with James Tyson. It's me, James, so I guess it should just be called The Oracles. I just kind of tag along with it anyway. Whatever. Today we have a friend of mine, Shelly Marie. She is also known as the Fearless Angel, creator of the Fearless Angel candle line, and if you want to go check her website out, it's shellymarie.net. Now, Shelly, after discovering her gift of healing and angelic mediumship at a very early age, she's spent most of her life working within that spiritual realm. Shelly is actually one of those humans, very high vibration, that has actually been able to see somebody's auric field ever since she was a kid, which I could imagine would be kind of odd if you were the only one who could see it. You happen to mention it to your friends growing up and they're looking at you with their eyebrows raised, thinking like, who the heck are you? To actually meet Shelly, it's amazing. I met her first, friend of mine, Bob. Bob's a psychic. We were in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Soul Summit, which is a very large gathering of intuitives, astrologers. That's the word I'm looking for. A lot of woo-woo, as we say, or as I say. It's an amazing group, and Shelly walked in. And she literally glows. She walks by and you kind of look at her and go, oh, Bob and I looked at her and looked at each other like, yeah, she's not from here. And we mean it in a good way. You kind of look at somebody sometimes and say, you know, you're completely different than the crowd of people standing around you. And it was very, very fascinating. And when I got to know her, I basically figured out why. She's very, very high vibration human. I say human almost in brackets because, you know, who the heck knows? She has helped thousands of people access their own angelic guidance through her work. She's a master healer with extensive knowledge of the auric field, angels, and overall wellness. She's a guided visualization expert and will help you unlock your potential for healing and manifestation. It's amazing just to hang out with her and hear what she talks about. Today we're going to be talking about guardian angels and a few of the other angelic terms that I'm not really familiar with. There's 9 realms of angels. We kind of touch on a few of those. She talks about cutting cords, connecting to archangels. We talk about what she does for people and her readings. She reads angel cards. She also will look at you and see things, kind of what's happened with me, but completely different. I look at somebody and I sometimes see, if it's needed, I'll see like a relative of theirs come through and I'll see kind of, I call them angelic beings on one side. She sees similar but different. Her modalities involve a number of other connections to the other side. She's a healer, a mystic, an angel. They're all words to describe Shelly. She's very, very down to earth. She's the mother of 4 daughters, which obviously would keep her completely insanely busy most of the time anyway. Recognized by several spiritual communities, written articles for magazines, has been interviewed by radio and podcasts worldwide, and also won awards for her communication with the Angelic Realm, and is currently writing a book. Shelly's also offered to do readings for those who are my Patreon subscribers. What I mean by that is that if you're one of my Patreon subscribers, there is a draw once a month, and I give away I gift a psychic reading, a astrological chart, or a past life regression. And Shelly is now on our list of intuitives that are doing these, along with Skeeter Wellhouse, Marianne Morgan, Lori Wheeler, Lorianne Lothian, who does the astrology charts. These are people who have stepped up and said, yeah, you can call me. You know, if you draw a name, have them get a hold of me and I'll do a reading for them. So really appreciative to that. And if anyone doesn't know about that, you can go on the oraclesofjamestyson.com, click on the Patreon button in the top right, and it'll explain what's going on. Because once a month, I like to draw from the list of people who are supporting me with their $3 a month donation. And that money goes basically so I could travel to the different events. Now, if I ever get up to the 2,222 people, I'll be drawing once a month for a trip for 2 airfare accommodation, car rental to the paranormal hotspot or supernatural metaphysical location that you want to go to. For example, if you like ghosts, we'll lock down a couple of days on the Queen Mary for you. And one of the other kind of cool things is I've got a film crew that'll actually come out and film you as a subject of a documentary and film the paranormal investigation. So we'd lock the Queen Mary down. We get one of the local groups to take you on a paranormal investigation. Or if you wanted to go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, always use that one because there's 3 paranormal teams there. I'd hook you up with all 3 of them, do all their stuff, plus film it as a documentary. And you like UFOs? Heck, I'll send you to a UFO conference, a VIP package. You'll get all the conference perks, the hotel. Again, you get a documentary crew following you around, and that'll be kind of cool because we'll probably sit you down and you get to interview people. You will get to interview people. Or if you don't want to, you and I will interview people like Eric Von Daniken, Travis Walton, any of the UFO people, Kevin Day, who was in a Tic Tac, and those guys you see on TV series all the time, like Ancient Aliens and some of your favorite authors. So we'll sit down and do that for a documentary, and that will be out on YouTube, and you get to keep it. So that's you. But that's if we ever get up to that 2,200 mark. This is limited to, there's only 3,500 people allowed to be at $3 a month. That's way too much money for me. But I get to go and travel with you and do things. So that's the idea. It's giving back to my listener who is supporting me. And that's what we do every month with the listeners who are supporting me now. We draw some names. Now, we've taken 2 months off. We haven't drawn in January and February. Or February, March, we haven't drawn. So we'll be drawing double coming up in April. We'll be drawing 6 names in April and then another 6 in May. So 2 people will be getting past life regression, 2 people will be getting an astrological chart, and 2 people will be getting a psychic reading, again from some of the top psychics around my area. Plus, you've got Marianne Morgan, who's like psychic detective, psychic to people like Robin Williams, Frank Sinatra, and politicians. Very, very cool lady. Lori Wheeler, who is a intuitive who does amazing, not only past life, but between life regressions. People like Skeeter Wellhouse, psychic, and also does past life regressions. And now we have our friend Shelly Marie, who will give you a reading and cut some cords and do all those woo-woo things that she does. And of course, Lorianne Lothian, a good friend of mine, she was on the West Coast here with me in Canada. She's at Montreal, Quebec now, and does astrology. Amazing, amazing young lady. These are the people who are there to help you. And before I go off on more of a tangent like that, let's stick with Shelly Marie. Again, her website, shellymarie.net. Shelly, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing well. My dog is happy. I am happy. I have a tenant who's not so happy. She's on her phone, I think, 3 or 4 times a day to see what the score is, see which country has the most corona reports, and I think it's driving her a little bit crazy. And then she gets worried about it. She says, I don't know exactly why you're not as worried as I am. And I said, because I'm not looking on my phone all the time seeing that a country of 30 million or 300 million people has 5,000 people with the coronavirus. But it is what it is, and it's interesting to be in these little lockdown situations and kind of self-assessing and assessing our place in the world. How is it for you?
For me, it's a unique time because the Angelic Realm it does not have coronavirus. Your soul is connected to something outside yourself, and the angels are dropping messages into my meditations and clarity beyond belief, because your requests are still being answered. Invocations, prayers, all of that does not stop. The angels don't have corona, so I'm putting my requests in and they're answering very quickly. It's like a divine download 24 hours a day.
And there's lots of prayers going on right now, a lot of meditation, a lot of almost manifestation for things that people want. So I can see how that realm is working full time. The switchboards are open now. Get your calls in. When did this first start with you, Shelly? It's I met you September of 2019 at the Soul Summit, which was one of my favorite woo-woo gatherings out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it a lot of psychics and a lot of intuitive people, and you certainly made an impact on me, just your energy and the way you spoke. What was it, or when did this thing turn on for you?
So specifically working with the Angelic Realm happened about 20 years ago when I picked up my first book and my first set of angel cards. Before that, I was what we call born knowing. I knew things as a child. I saw auras around adults. I offered counsel at an extremely young age. And I had this divine calling to live a happy life. And the angels give me the formula on how to do that in a very simple way and how to help people find happiness. Now, getting a little older, I became fearful of my gift and I tried to shut it off. And when I picked up that angel book and the first deck of cards, I then found a way to deliver messages of wisdom, guidance, and inspiration that was no longer scary. I had put down a famous tool that a lot of practitioners use, and that was the Ouija board. And I played that as a child, and there's a lot of stigma around using that as a communication tool. And very young, I did use that. But when I found the Angelic Realm, I was immediately called to stand in love and light and use this as my communication tool. There's an element of healing that comes along with delivering essentially psychic messages to people. It's just almost like having a power-packed Reiki healing with your reading.
When you say a power-packed Reiki healing, like, how do people react when you are doing this type of reading?
Well, people come to me with their deepest problems. They think that they're coming in for a reading and they want to know about their career, but the angels know what's on your soul. And often the reading goes from career direction to what's going on in your soul that's blocking you from true happiness in your life. I may get a call about career, but really it's somebody's relationship that's standing in their way, or it may be blocks from childhood that's blocking their courage to make the career change. So always there is a divine soul knowledge that's unlocked, and I think that surprises people. And most of my clients, I would say all of my clients, leave with a newfound inspiration and a belief in themselves because they're getting a real live view of what the Angelic Realm sees in them. They're realizing they're not alone, that they have two guardian angels and spirit guides and many other souls that are connected with them, and they leave very inspired. And some of my clients have made claims that I've helped do or make dramatic things happen in their life, and I am just the messenger, right? I don't take credit for making anything happen. The angels lead clients to find their own divine inspiration, and they provide that healing, the healing that needs to happen so that people can feel safe and supported as they go after true happiness.
Well, I think it's when people come to you to start with, they've already have an understanding that they have a belief system in what you do. and how you're connected, and they have some understanding of that. When they're actually in the reading themselves, are they becoming a little more enlightened? Is that one of the, like with everything that you're doing, do you also kind of raise their vibration? You have a feeling of them expanding a little bit or a lot during a reading or a session?
I find that people come to me very fearful. It's, 99% referral for me. And they'll say, I don't know you, and I don't know much about angels, but I was told that you can change my life. You can help me. Once they come to me, then they usually keep coming back, and it grows by referral. But here's what happens in session. They come in afraid. What is this woman going to tell me? And very shortly, once they're in my presence on the phone or in my home, they become comforted immediately. You can see their shoulders relax, and I ask them to take a deep breath. I tell them they're safe, and they quickly learn that they're really not alone, that the angelic realm has a divine understanding and a divine view of them. And what I mean by divine, I mean non-judgmental, fully 100% loving and compassionate view. There's not judgment in spiritual readings. I am not looking at whether or not their marriage is falling apart, or they may be having an affair on their spouse, or they may be really, really unhappy and haven't told their spouse yet, or they're planning on quitting a career that really needs them, and they haven't notified their boss. There's a lot of life issues where people fear judgment, and that's not what the angels do. They help you get through those hard points in your life with divine knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I find that when I'm doing a reading for somebody, these things I call stand-up reading, when I see a loved one come in beside them, one of the big things I have to tell them is that when they cross over and come back and they're actually helping them and communicating with me, they have no judgment. Doesn't mean they're going to roller skate in traffic. It means that they cannot judge you, because I think in the great scheme of things, they know why you were born, why you do the things you do, and why you're going to die when you die. They know your path. So the universe takes, the creator, God, whatever your belief system is, takes that human judging out of them, because that's not who we are. We are not meant to judge anyone. And that is the same with the beings that you communicate with, your angels, your guides. They're not there to judge. They can definitely raise an eyebrow and give you that big, oh, really? You just did that? Now we're going to have to do this all over again? But it's not really a judgment thing. It's like, yeah, okay, human, off you go. And you're going, and they're just, I always describe it, your guides are like the bumpers on a little kid's bowling lane. As we continue through life, they're kind of smacking you back, trying to get you on track. And some of them smack a little harder. It's interesting that people actually come to you that are like, okay, I've heard really good things about you, Shelly, and I don't know who the heck you are, but let's see how this works, because that is a real interesting hurdle to get over, to come to somebody who does angelic mediumship or any kind of healing, depending on your upbringing. It's like really breaking through a different, opening a different side of your mind up to actually take a step in your door. But my understanding too is that we get people sent to us, or in your case, you would get people referred to you that need to meet you at this exact point of their life. So it's a good thing. It's a divine
thing. And for me, being an angelic medium, about after I opened my practice in the late 2015, I just started to dabble. I came out of the spiritual closet. I'm an angelic practitioner, and the referrals started coming in slow, and they never ever have stopped. Then I graduated to working in some online communities, being interviewed on podcasts such as yours. And then I get a lot of referrals from people that have seen me teach or have heard me on a podcast. Angelic mediumship began happening about when I came out as a practitioner. I'd always sensed spirits and things like that, but I started having these sessions, and the client wanted to know their guardian angel's name, and it was turning out to be their deceased loved ones. The first thing I did was I got afraid again, and I went to my mentor and I said, "Can you look at my chart and make sure mediumship is in there? Am I supposed to be doing this? Is this okay?" Because I really pride myself, on authentic, and here this gift of mine was amping up as I was serving my clients. So every time I'd ask, I would get more referrals for mediumship readings. Turns out it's all in my chart. It's all good. And that's what I find about this journey, is that you never know when a client comes in your door, what spirit has in store for them. What do they need? And my gift was a little more revealed because I wanted to serve in a way that would change my clients' lives and really prove to them that they're not alone, that there is this soul guidance available, and that the angels will bring whatever you need, be it abundance, money, a new lover, to end an abusive relationship, divine inspiration, belief in yourself. I mean, the angels have all of the miraculous tools to provide divine intervention.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, if anyone wants to learn a little bit more about Shelly Marie, go to shellymarie.net. You can read about her there. She's also got a large Facebook community. You can book a session if you want. And also, you make really cool angelic candles. So that's another thing you can get on the website. We can talk about that a little bit later. But you have a interesting connection. Now, when you talk about angels, and guardian angels, and specifically, I'd like you to describe what you believe a guardian angel is.
Sure. Guardian angels, in what I see and what I have learned, is that we all are born with at least 2 guardian angels. They are no more than an arm's length away from you. So if you spread your arms out, you're within your auric field. Your guardian angels are always there. They do have names, and if you ask them, guardian angels, please tell me your name, the first name that you hear or feel is your angel's name. Now, names are not important. They will call by simply saying, guardian angels, help me now. But you must give your angels permission to intervene. And I'm going to get more into angels and where they're at. But if you're listening to this, all you have to do is simply give permission for your angels to help you. Now, a level up, your angels can intervene if you are about to cross over at a time before you're meant to be. That's the only time they can really step in on a dramatic level without your permission. Beyond that, where are the angels? There are several realms of angels, 9 realms of angels, and there are different levels. And the highest realm, or one of the realms that shows to me with pure white light, is the seraphim angelic realm. Things happen instantaneously in that realm: healing, magic, miracles. And for the average person, it's hard to go into a meditation and level up that high. You got to go up all 9 realms. The reason I work with archangels is because they are a little closer to the earth and easier to access, if you will. But you can certainly access any realm just by putting your intention out there, and making sure that you're not in fear, that you have an open heart, and you have the ability to contact all realms. So there are different realms that serve different needs. Some angels protect our earth and our country and things like that. Our guardian angels are assigned to us personally. The Seraphim realm is, as I know it to be, very instantaneous, miraculous healings and divine knowledge and light work. And whether or not you choose to contact all 9 realms, people then worry, well, what if I contact the wrong realm? There's no such thing as that. The angels call their friends. They know how to access the love and the light that you need. If you call on, say, for instance, Archangel Michael right now is a wonderful angel to call on, because we are living in a time of heightened fear. So Archangel Michael is the angel of courage, strength, fear. He takes away all negativity. He does spirit releasement, but he also helps light workers find their way at this time too, so that we don't fall into fear. So Archangel Michael, please fill me with courage and faith, and keep me safe and protected as I, navigate these changes in life, is a simple invocation that you can use when you feel afraid.
Very cool. The Archangel Michael has always been said to be very strong in me, along with the Archangel Heniel. I have 2 tattoos on my forearms. One is from about 150 AD of the Archangel Michael, and the other one's from 5 or 6 years ago. An angel communicator out of the eastern U.S. was gifted with an image, and those are the 2 forearm tattoos that I have. I see angels, or what I describe as angels, when I'm doing readings for people. I see them on the right-hand side. If I was standing looking straight at you, I would see usually like a family member who has volunteered to kind of be your in-between of your spirit guides and yourself, standing on your left. But on your right, I would see, for some reason in your case, I'm seeing 4 angels, and well, I call them angels. They're white. And your third one over is really tall and like fluorescent green, like way taller than the other ones. But I don't know what that is. I just refer to them as angels. But I get that they're way a much, much higher vibration than the past, the human volunteer that is to what's on my right, your left. And now since June of last year, I've been getting these things about a car length behind, about 7 or 8 feet tall, that are just almost elemental beings, or ETs in some cases. But do you see them, or do you feel them when they're around people?
Well, thank you for that little reading, because I have chills throughout my body and a little prickly feeling. I can feel that essence as you describe it. And the colors I find when I read angels, I am seeing them, hearing them, feeling them. Now, I am highly trained in reading the chakra system, and I find that those colors usually resonate with either the color of the archangel or the specific color in the chakra system that needs healing. So the mint green, in fact, let me offer validation. I was just working with mint green during my session last night with a client, and I had never worked with mint green before, and it was in her auric field. And it actually turned out to be a guide for her. It was an actual saint or spirit guide, not an angel. And I kept seeing this mint green. So, when as a practitioner, when you're in session, you are also blessed with your clients' angels. They want to thank you, they want to help you, and they can do so simultaneously. So you gave me validation there. Did I answer the question or go off on the reading?
I have no idea. No, I was just wondering if, actually it wasn't really a question, but I get that really tall green one as being either an archangel or and I know this sounds weird, but we speak woo-woo, so it's okay. A light being. It could be a relative or something, but I'll throw this out to you. The Archangel Raphael, what does that mean to you right this second?
that I was thinking about talking to him on this podcast. He's the healing angel. He's in the heart chakra. He's soulmate. He heals addictions.
And what color is he?
Yeah.
What color is he?
He is an emerald green.
Yeah.
Could be showing the mint green.
Yeah, that's who I think it is. I think it's Raphael. But he's with you. I don't see him as with you just right this second. I think he's with you a lot. That's like your 4 constants that are over there.
I do see him a lot working with people now, especially with the time that we're in. He is one of my angels that called me to do the angelic work, him and Archangel Michael. He works closely with Archangel Michael. So say you call in for safety and fear, but he will bring Michael, or Michael will bring Raphael, and vice versa. Raphael brings in Michael. Now, Archangel Raphael helps with clairvoyance. He helps with eyesight. He helps offer guidance and healing. He also helps pets. So if your animal's feeling a little different with all the changes in the world, or needs healing, or is lost, ask Archangel Raphael to help you with your pets.
Yeah, I do. When I do Reiki on my dog, because he's got an appliance in his rear right knee from a cruciate ligament thing, and so I will, during the Reiki, I will kind of talk to Raphael in my head. So I've never been trained in any of this. I just kind of do it, and my dog seems to like it. I've been trained in Reiki, but not the whole archangel thing, because it's still really outside of my connection with people at this point. But I do see them, which is weird. I see the really tall, colored beings of light. And just my gut feeling says, oh, that's the angelic side. That is that vibration aura on this side of them, and this is this vibration on that side, and the spirit guides are I do spirit guides. Like when we read cards, I get, like you and I both read cards, but when I read cards, I perceive I'm getting information directly from the spirit guide. But when I'm standing looking at somebody, I'll go, oh, this is being passed on by the person who stands beside them, that volunteer in between person, because I'm not at a point where I can connect to spirit guides. I'm not that high a I don't see that vibration. So this volunteer comes in and says, okay, here's a bunch of hand signals, which mean over time I've learned what the hand signals mean. And every so often I get a whole download of a sentence or something, and I'll just say it out loud, and it usually freaks the lady out or the guy out. But I'm learning just to say it now as opposed to overthink it. But when you do your readings, now you do cards, you also obviously pick up things when you're standing beside somebody. Do you differentiate the information that you're getting between cards and standing next to somebody and actually seeing that auric field? Is one more information than the other? I guess would be the easiest way to put it. More detailed.
I love to read the auras. That's what I grew up seeing, and I find so much divine connection there. The angel cards really provide a visual for the client, and there's all of these great connections in angel tarot, linked to traditional tarot. So the visual colors help. I read color just like you, James. I read color, whether it's an ace or a page. Some of the words can bring a unique message, but for me, no, I do not have to have the card. I can get just as much of a reading. I can see exactly what's going on in someone's life. And oftentimes they're not ready to hear what the bigger block is. They're trying to get relief of why they are maybe confused, stressed, very unclear about which direction they should go. And sometimes they're not ready to hear that bigger picture. They need the relief first. Do I have angels? Is there someone outside of me? Is this spiritual force guiding me? And can I trust my own intuition? So that can be done with or without cards. I also love to use crystals, and I recommend crystals for my clients because they're helpful tools. So every tool has its gift, but I think as a practitioner, for me, it's all within myself, and it grows and grows as I always keep studying, always learning, and always working with people.
Oh, perfect. I find that it's, I do the same thing. I think the cards are more for the client. It's a focus point for me, but for them, they're actually seeing something physical. Now, I use the cards that aren't, I try to use angel cards. I try to use the Archangel Michael cards, but they're just too busy. There's too much in the picture. Mm-hmm. And I look at them and go, oh, look, there's an angel holding a sword with a book and a sheep and a sun in the background. And then I totally miss what I'm getting. And I use cards now that are just fractals. They're just a mishmash of color. And then I go, oh, that's what I get. I've actually done a reading using business cards. Had her put down 7 business cards, and I flipped over and looked at the white side of them, the blank side, and did a full reading. And then I realized, it struck me. It was like, oh, it's just a focus. I just have to clear my mind and focus, and I get a message.
Oh, I can definitely tell you get a message. I mean, do you remember when we met and you didn't have the tools of the cards? You walked right up to me and said, yes, you and the woman standing next to you. And I knew I was in spiritual heaven when I could talk to someone about the spirit guide standing next to me that no one else could see.
Yeah, and that is what I do. That's what I call a stand-up reading. And it's come over the last, I think, really strongly in the last 4 years. And that's why it's, like I say, it's expanded into now seeing elemental beings and other things, protective beings over and above the angelic realm and that human, your grandmother volunteer standing beside you. And, it's the weirdest, it's weird. It's woo-woo. And it comes in waves for me. I'll get shut down for a bit, and I've been told I get shut down so I can focus on another conduit of focus, or another way of seeing, another clair, let's call it. And then it'll open up again, or I'll get protected because I got elemental beings trying to do something silly around the house, and then because I walk around open all the time. So I'll get shut down temporarily and then open again. With you just kind of glow, which is kind of cool, which I don't see in a lot of people. Now, you've got to remember, listener, that when I met Shelly, she was at a conference with, a few hundred people who are quote unquote woo-woo. We are a lot of psychics, a lot of very high vibration people. And she was one of about 10 out of that glow in the dark. You actually stuck out amongst those people. There was a gentleman, and I can't remember his name, but he did astrology. And he did too. You look at him and it was like, oh yeah, you're not from here. you're from some other planet or something, buddy. Because you actually there was a guy too. There was a guy who said he was from another planet, an older gentleman, which was kind of funny. But you actually have this. Like you say that you see and you can read somebody's aura. Yours is actually, I can't do that. I can't see that, but I can perceive it, and yours is very, very strong. So you're obviously able to connect with other people's because yours comes out so big. It's probably just so easy for you then to look at somebody, take a deep breath, and go, "Oh, look at that!" It's you see all the colors and everything connected to them.
Yes, and I like to say I have one foot in the angelic realm and 1 foot on the earth all day, every day, because that is where I'm happy. The angelic realm and the spiritual realm is it's who I can trust. There's nothing in this world that I can trust as purely as I can angelic guidance. If I listen to the true guidance, I will not be thrown off my life path. It's the times in life where to humans that didn't have my best interest in mind or didn't have the vision that I had, that I got thrown off path. And, humans lie, angels don't. And that's one of the things I love to say is the cards don't lie, people do, because we're not ready to see what the real angelic message is.
Oh, those humans.
I know.
Yeah, not that you're human. What are, you're talking about the 9 angelic realms. What are they?
They are, and I'm probably going to forget because now I'm recording with you. It's the seraphim, and then we have, so if we go seraphim, why can't I remember? I'm going to draw a blank just because we're recording.
I can throw some possibles in there, and you can.
Seraphim. You've got the seraphim.
Cherub.
Oh yeah. Cherub, yeah, and the thrones. So we have the thrones, which are like the guardians. We have the seraphim, where the light healing happens. We have the archangels, and then we have our guardian angels. And there are the virtues. And I'm getting them all out of order.
Oh, it's okay, because this was a snap quiz. What about the ones that kind of throw me off are powers of authority or virtues? What,
yes.
Like, describe. Well, I should go back to the cherubim, the cherubs, those ones. What is their purpose? We'll kind of go through. I'll ask you some of what you perceive is the purposes for these various realms. What kind of jobs they have.
Funny that you would kind of land on the cherub realm, right? Because right now, all of my sessions with the change in the world that we're all experiencing together, everyone wants to know about love, and they want to know about career. And the cherub realm is pure love. They don't know anything else. And you can identify a cherub realm human in this world by specific traits that they have in the way they carry themselves. So there are people who are born or have elements of the cherub realm in them, and it's very easy to spot as a practitioner. They'll usually have large eyes. They usually love to do their makeup. Most of the time they have a cherub like figure, so they're a little more voluptuous, if you will, but they're beautiful, and they have this compassion that is just, they're very compassionate, but often they're empathic. So this is in a human, where you see the cherub realm within a human. But the cherub realm is meant to bring pure love into your life, help you access your guardian angels, and anything that has to do with igniting passion that is based off of love.
Oh, that's interesting. See if I can know a few of those people.
Are you feeling the connection there? Can you think of someone like that? And they often have lots of angels in their home, or they'll have statues, or they'll wear angel earrings and such like that. It's very interesting.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, the one person I was thinking of, I did a reading for, and I'm pretty sure she's not even from Earth. She's off Earth kind of soul. She's a very fascinating person to be around, very empathic and just very overly warm. I don't know if that makes sense. You just want to stand beside them and go, oh, this is comfy. It's just a really loving, accepting would be the best way of accepting energy, vibration. And just somebody who's really nice to be hanging out with.
Yes, and often those people that are so loving, they have very traumatic pasts where they've endured much emotional trauma and sometimes physical. And they've chosen to be in light and love, and often they have this warm and comfy feeling, as you say, because they know what it's like to experience pain and loneliness, and they just want to fix it. And the thing with that is these people often attract more abuse in their life because they're so non-judgmental, and they can bring other people back into their life that are just as harmful as the last person.
Yeah, and I see that a lot of times too in anybody who's a higher vibration. I get a lot of people who are we attract narcissists, basically. We attract the lower vibration people.
Oh,
and it's if you're not conscious of it, love at first sight for us is bad. I can look at somebody and say, oh my God, I'm in love. But now I realize, no, that person is actually a lower vibration person. My subconscious saying, oh, I can fix you. And that's what it is. If they have that kind of glowing, like filtered look, when I look at them, like angelic, fuzzy, looking through the filtered lens, I know now to stay away from that, because I had that when I was younger. I would fall in love with somebody on a Wednesday and look at them on Thursday and realize that their face had physically changed, which is impossible. But what did I see the day before? And what it was, in hindsight, again, this is all hindsight, I look back and go, oh yeah, that was a very, very draining human being. But they were doing the same thing. It's not conscious of course. They look at me and their subconscious says, oh, he can fix me. And I can feed off that energy.
I could do a whole podcast with you around the narcissist subject and dealing with them. And, the light is attracted to the dark, and the dark is attracted to the light. Light people such as yourself are very spiritual, and you're very, I would say you're very archangel, sage, wisdom, and spiritual guide vibe. But you really come across with a lot of wisdom and a lot of deep connection. And that's something the light is going to be really attracted to. And then for you, you're going to see this little bit of darkness in someone. Hey, I can infuse some of my ultimate healing wisdom and knowledge. And boy, I can just help you right out there. And I can bring you to another realm if you want to come with me. But often they don't want to come with you because they don't have the tool to even begin to know how.
Yeah. And of course, this is all subconscious too.
Yes.
So the conscious human, the ego side of things gets in the way. And my ego gets in the way, which is that is my battle every day, is trying to get out of ego when I do things, or when I talk to people, or when I have a tendency of prejudging quickly. And it helped when I was in the for your fan base that may be listening to this interview, I was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 28 years. So I learned, because I had to interact with a number of people over and over and over again very quickly, and I had to come up with ideas of how to solve things, and I had to take in a lot of information. I began to prejudge very quickly. Okay, I've been around this kind of person before, and I know what's going to happen now, and the person's drunk, therefore you don't press these buttons, and so you prejudge. And in the kind of meat grinder way of dealing with a 12-hour day, you can get through it pretty quick. But looking back at interactions with human beings, you try not to prejudge. You hopefully don't prejudge. Yes, you be safe, when some guy walks up to you in a parking lot at night and wants to, comes out of a shadow, you automatically prejudge, this could be bad. And these are all the little spider senses that go off in you. But there is a kind of a hesitation. You don't want to constantly prejudge everybody when they come into your life or they walk up to you. But we learn over time. The universe has given us a lot of lessons in this lifetime, in our bodies, where we are now. We've been taught certain things. Our guides are giving us goosebumps. They're giving us the hair on the back of our neck standing up. They're giving us that gut feeling. They're helping. It's just, don't over prejudge. And I find that I do that. So again, that's ego, and I got to get out of ego. And in the case when you're dealing with clients, I try not to prejudge them, but I do in my life find myself looking at somebody, kind of prejudging them and thinking, I bet I can help them. Oh, they're almost homeless. Or I had one lady, her house was completely filled with ghosts, could not believe the amount of ghosts she had in her house. And she was had to move out. So I said, okay, I'll give you a room downstairs in my place you can stay in. That ended up being, it wasn't the house she was moving out of was haunted. It was her. So she brought everything in with her. And then when she left, we had 9 entities we had to get rid of out of the room she was in downstairs. It was insane. But my friends are saying, well, you have a tendency of bringing a lot of people who are broken home with you. And I said, yeah, I kind of do that. But and I'm trying not to do that anymore. But that's me being open to that. And I think I just went off on a tangent. Sorry, Shelly.
I love that. Well, I want to elaborate on that. I felt so much in that story because this is the thing that a lot of light workers struggle with, and even humans that are not interested in being light workers. What I love about you is that you're really in touch with the spirits, and you can say there were 9 entities. I'm a little less apt to be able to say how many entities. I know there's bad energy or energy that needs to be cleared for your own well-being. That's an Archangel Michael thing for you. You are an Archangel Michael. You're a protector. You're a divine wisdom. You also are a leader in leading people such as myself. Hey, here's my platform. You like authentic people. So therefore, that's also an Archangel Michael trait. And that color is in the third eye. It's the blue indigo color. So for you, surrounding yourself, Archangel Michael, please surround me in your beautiful blue indigo color, and make yourself surrounded with that color before entering into any situation, and that's going to allow you the protection but still able to read and use your gift. And then when you realize, this person not only is a little narcissistic and has entities, I've got the blue light, but now I need the white, because the white's going to shield physically, or it's going to seal the aura. So you layer the blue and then the white, and call on Michael for that. We backing up what you were saying about judging people, a lot of us who are in situations where you have to make a second decision to know whether or not you're safe. So in your previous job, you had to know within seconds, yes or no, do this or don't, because your safety depended on it. And that skill gets overused, but it makes for a great practitioner later in life when you can say, all right, we'll slow down those initial reactions, and we'll leave the ego at the door, like you were saying, and then you just get this extreme clarity because you have those skills, and you do with the spirits and all of that. So I see how it worked to your benefit.
Yeah, again, it was one of those things in hindsight, you look back at it and you look back at things you do in your life and realize that, and again, I did policing in Canada, so it's a little bit different from a population like where you have and the way in your system. It's the safety of everybody involved. It's, you walk into a situation, you're saying, okay, how can I make everybody how can we get everyone just to sit down, relax, and we can all go home at the end of the day, and everybody's happy with me showing up? And again, that is the empath in me. I want to make everybody happy, and I don't care if you just robbed a bank. I still want to make you happy. At the end of the day, I want to be able to interact in your life as the person who just robbed a bank. I want to be able to interact in your life, and hopefully what comes out of the end of the day is better for you to move on your path. And it is kind of, again, this all came to me in 2012, and I was, well done most of my career by then. So looking at the interactions I had with people, I worked organized crime, and I worked robbery, and I worked gang interdiction and things like this, and prolific offenders. So I worked with trying to help a lot of people who were involved in a lot of awkward situations in their lives. So looking, and again, I keep saying this, looking back, because to me it is all hindsight, and it's fascinating to go back in our lives and see how we've changed and why we did certain things we did, knowing what we do now, and I mean us, knowing us. Light workers, the higher vibration, or people we've been told we are higher vibration, and looking back in our lives and going, oh, this is why I would have done that, or that makes total sense now on why I would have interacted with people like this, or why I would have friended people like that. or how, why I would have dealt with things. One of the things I was very interested in, when you talked about Michael, you talked about the indigo blue and the third eye. When I activated, I've only done this once knowingly, a lot of meditation, opened my third eye up, saw a ton of things, but it was indigo blue. As you can imagine, as you're imagining, I was imagining like a golf ball up above, outside of my forehead, and focusing on it. And then I saw this indigo blue light, and I focused really hard on the indigo blue light, and it expanded into like a television screen or a big full-on movie screen, and I started seeing things. But that was the indigo blue I was focusing on, and that it was very interesting. You said you related the Archangel Michael indigo blue third eye, because it really struck a chord with exactly what I did. I opened that third eye up. For sure.
And he's your guide, and you're very much you house a lot of his capabilities with spirit releasement, worthiness. You help people feel worthy that have put themselves in unworthy situations. You do space clearing and protection, and you have courage, and you vibrate a lot with Michael, a lot. So that's interesting. What a great connection there.
My friend, who's the angel communicator, sent me a bell, and she makes angel bells, and I have a motorcycle, and I travel a lot, long distances on a very large touring motorcycle, and if anyone's familiar with big touring motorcycles or motorcycles, a lot of times, next time you see one, if you're not familiar with them, look at a motorcycle in a parking lot. It'll have a bell on it, and the bell is at a lower point on the frame, and it's they call them gremlin bells or whatever. It goes back to this belief system that you're protecting your motorcycle against gremlins. And my belief is just hang a bell on the front of it so an elemental being doesn't run out in front of you and you end up swerving in the middle of the night. So I hung my little Archangel Michael bell on, but when I go on these trips from Vancouver, British Columbia to Sturgis, South Dakota, it's a 15-day event, big ride going through multiple states all the way down Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, everywhere, into the Dakotas, and all driving around there. I'm on the road a lot, and I do a meditation. I Palo Santo my bike. I basically go through this little protection thing on my bike. I ask Archangel Michael to protect those to each side of me and in front of me about 100 meters and behind me 100 meters or 100 yards. And I'd imagine almost like a big submarine shape, and I'm in the middle of it. So, and I say, just on my ride, please protect those within this area. It's my little silent meditation. And my guys that I go motorcycle riding with, I said, what are you doing? I'm just thinking. All I'm doing is meditating and going, okay, this one person's meditation is another person's prayer. It's just
Absolutely.
Semantics.
I can see that and feel it. I see it as the bullet shaped. You're like the bullet. You're on the straight path, you're going, and you're connecting with the earth as well. And I see the Archangel Michael bell and the belief of protecting from gremlins as in protecting from debris on the road as well. And that little bullet point that looks forward, like you say, to the right and the left, I feel like that's expanding your perception as well. That's such an Archangel Michael thing. I mean, it's just a beautiful, I saw the vision or a vision when you talked about that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've actually got other guys now, Palo Santo, or saging their bikes. So it's pretty soon I'm going to have them with a pocket full of crystals. I don't know yet. It's kind of funny. I ride with a lot of military veterans, and they're more woo-woo than a lot of other people. These guys are crystals and sage and bells and blessings and... it's funny. It's funny. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people who have seen have been in places where life is lost in a heartbeat, in a split second, and have lived through it unscathed, come out like an explosion, and nobody else is hurt, or everyone else is hurt except them. Their vibration seems to be a little bit more sparkly and more sensitive and more open to things on the other side. A little bit of woo-woo now and then. Plus, it's comforting to know that your loved ones, or your best buddies who have died, are somewhere nice and continuing on.
Oh, absolutely. I always say that I try not to read people or give readings on the fly or disturb somebody. But recently I had a man approach me from the other side, obviously, at a dinner with a bunch of women. And I met this woman for the very first time, didn't even know her name. And here comes her dad standing at our table while we're eating. And I go, oh, am I really going to do this? I mean, this was one of the first times, we know I see auras and I get information, but I don't want to freak anyone out, but this was really an intervention. And I just said, okay, Spirit, if this is what you want, then you better give it to me. You better give me accurate information. So I end up giving this woman a reading, and she's crying the whole time. Her father had just passed, and he passed in a motorcycle accident, actually. And he showed me pieces of his passing or whatever that, I obviously couldn't have known, but she was able to feel validated. And it's just one of those things that, when Spirit calls you, you answer. And that's the role that I have committed to stepping into. Previously, I would have said, no, we don't freak people out. That's not okay. But when it's a for sure thing like that, where you have a divine interaction, I gave her the reading, and now she's a friend of mine. But to what you're saying is being around people that have also survived and been through things and seen life flash before their eyes, and they do have a new perception. It's nice to be around people like that, because there is just an essence within them that I think it really helps us with our faith in something bigger than ourselves.
Yes, I do too. And a lot of the people that, either for policing or the military, that have come to me, and I say come to me, that we just end up being friends. We just somehow got together. They are all very intuitive, very high vibration people. And we will sit down and at a campfire and talk about things like this, and the things that they saw growing up as a kid, the shadows in the rooms, the ghosts, the things out of the corner of your eye, understanding things before they happen, a whole myriad of intuitive connection.
One of my first experiences was seeing those shadows and those dark things as a very young child. I'd lay in my bed awake at night, just watching them walk by.
Between 3 and 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I would wake up and I'd watch the dark spots, shadows walk by. Then I used to stare into I had these little dolls, and I used to look at the dolls, and I was getting information from these dolls. And I would do this so intently without any fear. It was a real experience. Only when I got older did I judge it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the things I always point out to people. If you are, and we'll use the term empath because it's kind of a catch-all for a higher vibration person. One of the things that we all have in common is the shadows in the room when we're kids, or full-on people. If you're really, really connected, you'll see them as a person standing there. We have that. We have the waking up between 3 and 4:30 in the morning, because that's when the veil thins between us and them, and they can come through. And they're attracted to us because we are of a higher vibration. And being a dead human being, they're low vibration, and they just feel good, or they want us to help, because all day they've been following us around, and finally they get to get our attention between 3 and 4:30 in the morning. Unfortunately, that comes with having to wake up and seeing shadows. But if and a lot of people say, well, I saw them when I was younger, but I don't anymore. It was probably because you told them to leave you alone when you were younger, and there are rules, and they stopped coming. Hopefully, they stopped coming unless they're a real pain in the butt, and then they keep showing up. And then anxiety. We all had anxiety post-puberty because all our friends would dump all their problems on us. We were just that person to go to. We gave the best hugs. We were the best listeners. We understood. And then we'd go home and just wanted to be alone because we had everyone else's crap. And we made other people feel good. And it was learning to block that if we can. Or anxiety. You have anxiety still. What's up with that?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm an anxiety expert.
Yeah, I just had this thing coming through going, oh, you're talking to somebody about anxiety. And it's like, oh, yeah, Shelly's got some anxiety, but I'm not going to get into that. I know, but that anxiety is, you have to understand, and you most likely do, your anxiety is about 80% based on other people's stuff. You have to push that back. You have your own stuff to deal with. You don't need everybody else's stuff. And that includes your kids. Don't take your kids' stuff on. This is me doing a real impromptu reading.
Love it.
They have, Source has given them energy. My God, it's your oldest daughter.
19 years old, Amber.
Yeah, she glows in the dark too.
Oh, yes, she does.
Yeah, so Source gives her energy. She gives all your family energy. Everybody we all get energy. It's for us. That is our allotment. You can't be giving them yours. You actually did really, really well up until 2017. Where do we get that? Anyway,
until 2017, the end of 2017, I got shingles in October.
And, from stress.
Yes. And I went deaf in my right ear, over 50% deaf. I was told I would have to have a hearing aid and that I would never get my hearing back. After 5 weeks in bed, it might have been 2018. I might have my... Oh, no, it was 17. But, anyway, my angels told me that I would get my hearing back, and I couldn't speak. I couldn't walk from the shingles that were in my brain and ear. I called on Michael to help me stay safe, and I wrote because I could hardly speak or I couldn't watch TV. So I basically journaled myself well and channeled messages. And then I called on Archangel Michael to help me change my life. I knew that I was unaware of how stressed on a soul level that I was. I was very happy being a practitioner, but in my personal life, it was very dark and things needed to change. And that was my first wake-up call, was one, healing myself and really using the angelic realm to physically heal me for the first time. I don't get sick very often. And then everything kind of started to unravel, and I agreed that I would follow the guidance of my angels. That's interesting. Yeah, I was going to say before then, your energy that Source gave you, you were full. So it was a conduit. When someone came to you, it actually flowed through you to them. Something in 2017 changed that to where people began to tap your own personal storage, and it dropped your vibration down. That really is affecting your. I'm shaking actually right now. It's your anxiety. That is it. You are very, very close to being completely filled, but you just have to keep understanding that other people have their own paths, and this is like very close friends of yours and loved ones. You don't have to keep dumping your stuff into them. Yeah, so they have their own life force and they can sustain themselves. I did go through from that time by mid-November, I was well. I got my hearing back through an injection in the eardrum, and it was very risky, and it worked on the third time. My hearing came back just like a radio station, but it was, probably 5 months later that I realized a bigger part of my life was going to have to change. And then I spent 11 months in deep self-study and self-work, working with Archangel Michael. I needed courage like you would not believe. And Michael kept coming and Michael kept working. And then during this time, I had my first vision of somebody actually having an attachment to them right in plain day. I did see smoke in a person's eyes come out through their eyes and through their mouth. And through the mouth, it came out into like a old style mustache. And this was in broad daylight. I had never had a vision of spiritual attachment like that. I'd sensed it, but this was happening without reading. I called on Michael, one last time and said, all right, just show me the way, but this is scary and I can't live like this. And my life changed for the better. He escorted that person right out within not too long after that vision.
That's fascinating. We are talking to Shelly Marie. Please go to her website, shellymarie.net, read a little bit more about her and see what type of modalities she has and works with. And if you're really interested, get a reading. This is fascinating. Your connection and this thing where you now are starting to see things, and it's particularly the gentleman who approached you while you were at a dinner with the women. One of the big criticisms I get, and I get this from some psychics, there's a little psychic woo-woo shop in my town here, in my city, that I go to all the time, and they say, well, you can't give somebody a reading without their permission. So I said, well, yeah, usually, no, you can't. There's no way. That's unethical. You can't just do that. You can't walk up to somebody and say, hey, there's a message here from your dead grandmother. That's not how things are done. And one of the biggest criticisms they have, too, is that I can do it for free. But when it happens, like you did with this lady. But I'm thinking, look, human, when somebody on the other side is jumping up and down saying, hey, could you pass a message on to my granddaughter? I'm going to pass a message on to the granddaughter. I'm going to do it as comfortable as I can possibly do it. I'm not going to say, hey, you know what? There's a lady standing beside you with a basketball and juggling penguins who wants to tell you the boyfriend you have. And like, no, I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. I'll work into it. And I actually took a course on better understanding, like the card reading course. They usually talk to you a little bit about communication with a client. Which is the only reason I took the course, because, I have the police communication. Hey, lady, pull over. There's a dead person beside you who wants to talk to you about the shoes you just bought. No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So I've got to be a little more, my bedside manner, my card side manner, my ghost side manner has to come through a little bit better. But have you ever run into that where people are very critical of, like, when you walk up to somebody, or this gentleman you see, he has smoke coming out of him and things like that? How do you broach that with him or with just somebody on the street that source is saying, we've put you on the same street together for a reason. It's up to you now to communicate. How does that work with you? How do you get through that?
Well, the first thing I try to do was set rules for Spirit. Spirit, I will not do that. That's weird. It's not okay. Well, then look what's happening to me as these divine connections, when they're very pure. I had to go out on a limb, and I have fully agreed to be that spiritual practitioner. I serve Spirit. I don't serve society's rules any longer. I suffered greatly when I lived by rules. And to that I say, give someone a reading and you watch them fall to tears and you watch them believe in themselves just a little more. I mean, what better satisfaction is there? I mean, you don't need any alcohol or anything. When see someone find a piece of themselves that's missing, and I'm all in. I mean, there is nothing that makes me happier. I have dropped to my knees and thanked Spirit for my gift by seeing a woman who crossed my path and me happening to say to her, "Oh, I see a young child in your aura. What is this?" And then she falls to pieces saying, "I just lost my 1-month-old baby. He crossed over." And I'm able to give her some confirmation that that baby is still in her auric field and that baby's with her. And she now is someone who comes to me on a regular basis. But had I not delivered that message, that woman is experiencing so much pain and sadness in her life as a mother, as a wife, as a human, every part of her is affected by that. And my little reading helped her soul connect with the soul that she lost. And I'm never walking out on that again.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's, we work within a light worker community. And there are, these groups of people get together and they have rules, and this is how we're going to do things, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't do readings for this, and okay, fine. Those rules are based on, obviously, mistakes other people have made in the past where they've done something and completely screwed things up. So they kind of box themselves into these little rules. But I can't. I find it really hard to listen to the human when the spirit is bouncing off the walls trying to get your attention, because I think that is the right thing. The spirit would not be bouncing off the walls unless it was something really important to come through. And obviously they can't get that human person to listen, so they've brought us together on a sidewalk or something. I do some work in film and television, and I was in a TV series called The 100, which just wrapped. It was the last episode or last season, and one of the makeup ladies was there, and this is really weird. This, she's coming up, and we had this bizarre head makeup, and anyway, she's doing makeup, and all of a sudden I looked at her, I looked her right in the eyes, and said, "Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry." And her eyes were big as saucers. But afterwards, I didn't think I actually said it out loud. I thought it, and I got that reaction. And it was really awkward because I couldn't remember if I actually physically said it. I said it with words, or I just thought it. And later, one of the other makeup people came to me and said, "What did you say to her? Because she had to sit down and she started hyperventilating, and then she had to have a break, and then she came back and she was a little bit better, but she was really nervous, and she's kind of not freaking out, but she's overthinking, not overthinking, but you could see that she was really thinking about stuff." And I said, "Oh crap, I said it out loud, didn't I?" But I didn't know. I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I heard. I don't know where that voice came from. It just said, everything's going to be okay. It's all right. So, and it just hit her at a specific time in her life. And that voice wasn't mine.
Wow.
Well, of course it was mine, but I don't recall if it was the weirdest hindsight looking back at it 10 minutes later going, did I say that out loud? And why would I have said that? But I just got something from looking at her. Because when they're doing makeup, they're only her face is a foot, 18 inches from mine. And she's working on the makeup on my forehead. And I just looked at her and went, yeah, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Weird.
That's amazing. Because what happened was you were so in her auric field that you picked up that message, and it was instantaneous, right? Like a seraphim angelic realm reading. It happened. There wasn't time for your ego to step in, because she was so close to you, like you said, in your face. She was in your third eye. And you're a spiritual warrior, and Michael with the courage and the courageousness, and she needed that breakdown to clear her aura and to actually come to terms with what she was so upset about. And then I'm sure she had clarity after that.
Yeah, I felt bad. I felt bad because, stress is the loss of control, or the perceived loss of control over a situation. So I felt awkward, bad, a little weird because I had no control. I couldn't see myself having control over what I said. So I was overthinking, crap, how did I say that? What did I say? I'm glad I didn't get slapped in the face. What else? What other things I've been telling people? These girls are kind of cute and they're only 18 inches away from my face. Oh, what else am I saying that I'm not remembering here? But it was kind of not upsetting, but it was kind of disturbing. It was a little bit stressful. Like, not understanding that at all. I got to move on.
So know that when people are that close to you, you're going to be in their auric field, and that may happen again because your third eye's open. You could close down your chakras a little, or you could use Archangel Michael's shield. He has a shield and a sword. And you can just say, shield me, but really your purpose is to deliver these divine messages. Or you could say, Michael, if there's a message that needs to be delivered, let me deliver with tact. There's a tarot card that says messages delivered without tact. Maybe you could say, can you show me or help me set the woman down gently? Because women can be, when they're can be caught off guard and then overwhelmed with emotions, right? And I think men can too, but sometimes their intuition kicks in and goes, uh-oh, I know exactly what that message meant, Yeah,
and that's my biggest thing is because I'm somebody who likes making people feel good. I didn't like knowing that I didn't make her feel good immediately. Like whatever I said actually caused a whole number of different emotions, and that's not any negative. Leaving somebody with a negative emotion is not anything I ever want to do, and that goes back to even when I was policing and had to arrest somebody. The people I arrested were, my job was to introduce them to the justice system, turn my back and walk away. It wasn't to criticize, punish, or anything. It just had to, basically stop what they were doing at that point in their life and get them on another path. And as long as I thought about that, and long as I treated, and like back in the day when you're in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, if someone breaks into your car, Shelly, you are my client. But so is the guy who broke into your car.
Right.
So it's a very easy thing to transit from listening to you complain about your car that you've named Debbie and you've had it since you were 16, and I feel upset for you, and then go catch the guy who is on a $200 a day meth habit as a result of being sexually abused as a child, and try to get him into recovery and detox and do something and change his life. So dealing with the two clients on the same issue, but giving two different sets of energy to it. So
yes, you have the ability to see on a soul level, and that makes a perfect, amazing practitioner, because you are reading spirit. You're coming into like a non-judgment. You mentioned the tall being behind me a little bit ago, and I really felt Archangel Sandalphon. He's usually a light blue color, but shows himself really tall like that. And he does come through for you. Do you have a great connection to music? Do you love to listen to music?
Sometimes.
Well, Sandalphon is the angel of music. Okay, so Sandalphon is the angel of music, and he is said to escalate our requests to the angelic realm. I don't know if you play guitar, though. Do you play an instrument?
Not anymore, no. I can't read music. I'm dyslexic.
But you used to play an instrument intuitively, right?
Yeah, I mess around playing guitars and drums, and what else did I play? I had something else here kicking around the house. You
do play, because that's an Archangel Sandalphon. He came through. When you mentioned that, I saw the light blue, and I saw the connection to specifically like being in a band or playing music or something. Keep doing that, because you are using other gifts. And who are you to say you can't read music? You could be making Angel Michael music for all you know.
Oh, heck, I can't read music. I asked my father for a guitar when I was a little kid, and he thought, you know what? We're not going to get you a guitar. We're going to get you an accordion. Oh, God, no. So after I got rid of the accordion, I asked for a banjo, just a 4-string banjo to strum, and he got me a 5-string. So I had to learn tabulature. It's like, I can't learn I'm a gibble. I can't do this. So I walked away from that too.
Well, you learn
I
by
played the drums.
hearing. So there's a divine download. And my daughter, who plays the flute, the 19-year-old we talked about, she learned to play the flute completely by ear, could not read a lick of music, and tricked her teacher for like a whole year. She couldn't even read music, but she learned it all by divine inspiration. Anyway, that came up for you. So, and you have some past blocks there with thinking you couldn't read the music and being given an instrument that you really didn't want. But the angels are saying, if you find any joy in banging some drums and that, call an Archangel Sandalphon, because you are making music. You don't need to read it.
Oh yeah, I play air guitar. I've got a black belt in air guitar, Shelly. Come on. And I sing like I dance. Oh boy. You can. It depends how much tequila I have too. One of the things I need to talk to you about before I let you go here is we touched on a lot of the archangel things, but when you are doing your healing, angelic healing, do you I don't know if you're one of these people who actually by calling on archangels, cut cords of people and rearrange their auric field. Is that something you do?
Absolutely. It is one of my favorite things to do. I see the gray spots in auras. I see cords. There on my Facebook page, which is just Shelly Marie, there's a couple, maybe one girl there who says that I helped get her pregnant, which I find hysterical, right? But we cut a cord out of her second chakra, and she did have a baby. My other client had 2 more babies after we did cord cutting in the second chakra, and that is Mother Mary and Michael and Raphael that I work with in those instances. So I've had some people claim miraculous things happening, and I didn't do it. They cleared their own chakra system. So yes, I've had great success, and I love to do cord cutting and releasement and all that.
So I know what cord cutting is, but my listener may not. What is cord cutting?
It's a block that you have in your energetic system. So if your heart is really heavy and full of sadness, you're going to have a cord there. It also could be attachment from another person. If you've had a long-term relationship and you're coming out of that, that person could be hooked into your third chakra, meaning your self-confidence. And you, when you remove these energy cords, you feel better, and you replace that hole, if you will, with angelic energy, and it heals you. If you're experiencing pain in any of your chakras, particularly your stomach, you could likely have energy attachments to anyone you've been in contact with, but in particular, emotionally abusive relationships, mothers, fathers, siblings, best friends, and it's always a good idea to cut your own cords if you know how, or see a practitioner.
Oh, okay. I've had it done once. I was in Sedona, Arizona, and a lady who was just giving me a reading stopped right in the middle of the reading and said, "You know what? You have to cut something here." I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I never ran into that before. And she said, "Okay, imagine a fiery sword now, and it's cutting this and cutting that." And I came out of there, and I felt like it was about 6 inches taller. You
would be great at cord cutting, because that's Archangel Michael. I use the Sword of Light to cut and clear cords from past, present, and future. You want to cut cords in all directions of time, so that you're not carrying anything forward or leaving anything behind.
Yeah. That's what she was doing. She was cutting something from the past, a couple of things from the past, and something from the present. We didn't get into any of the future stuff, not that I'm aware of anyway, or that I remember. It was a few years ago. Fascinating. This fascinating clearing and cord cutting thing. It's a part of healing that I am really I'm interested in listening to people who do this, because it's something that I know very, very little about. So it's always fun to talk to somebody like you. I have a Reiki lady that I go to sometimes who, I think it's just not Reiki that she's doing. She's doing some healing, but she's not really articulating that part of it. She's from Ireland. She glows in the dark. She's amazing. But it's one of those things, again, that you feel really, really refreshed coming out of just a session for about an hour. And you do these sessions in person, and you do them remotely too?
Yes, mostly remotely now. With my growth in spiritual online communities, I have clients all over the world, internationally now, and spirit knows no boundaries. You can cut cords from wherever you're at. You can find a good meditation and do it yourself, although you should know what you're cutting. You can never cut cords of pure love to someone, so don't worry if you feel like you need to try this on your own. You cannot cut a cord of divine love to a child or, to your mother or father. So you can't mess it up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a deep practice, but you're not going to take your life and harm everyone in it by cutting cords. It's a very good practice, and if we all did it more, we would have a lot more clarity.
Well, that'll be something maybe I should look into, just for self, to do it and check in on myself every so often.
I would love to do that for you.
Oh, that would be really cool. Thank you very much. This is one of the woo-woo questions that I'm going to ask you, that I ask a lot of people. What do you think happens to us when we die?
Well, realizing I had a near-death experience myself when
There's a question I wrote on my pad here. Ask her if she's ever died.
Ah, yeah.
We were talking, that time we're talking about your what do you call it? When you had the shingles and you went deaf and all this stuff, I had it as ask her if she's died, because that is something that people like you have in common, is checking out and then coming back in with a huge switch turned on of intuition and elevation and vibration. Yes, tell me about that.
So I'll tell you, I've had 2 near-death experiences. Well, one I didn't actually start to die, but I almost did. The one where I did start to die was my 4th child, my 4th C-section in 2007. And I started to feel my body shake like an old car. When you're messing with the idle, it started to vibrate. And like when your car is going to run out of gas and you tap the gas and it begins to shake fiercely. Yeah. I felt my body during the operation start to shake fiercely, and I saw a gray ring with white light in the middle of it. So it was closing in, and I could hear the doctors talking about a sporting event. They were talking about basketball or something. And I thought, oh my gosh, they don't know that I'm going to die. And I hear their conversation. I put my left hand up and I mumble, my heart is pounding. And all of a sudden, I don't really know what happens. I see the gray ring. It gets closed. It closes. I'm looking up at the ceiling. It closes in, and there's some white there. And I remember kind of feeling like I was pulling back, not to go that way. And then the anesthesiologist is in my face. He says, it's like I come to, I think. And he says, you are very lucky. We had to shoot you with some stuff to bring you back. And then everyone's around my face and they're looking at me and they're saying, you're so lucky to be here. You're so lucky. And I'm thinking, what's the problem? Where's my baby? I'm good. What? I'm here. What? And I just never freaked out about it. Okay, so I'm still here. Let's move on.
Wow. That's amazing. It's, you were under general anesthetic, but you put your hand up and mumbled?
Yes. Well, I was awake during the surgery.
Oh, you're awake. Okay.
Yeah, for C-sections, you're fully awake. You're just numb.
Oh, all right. That's wild. And when you came out of that, after you got home and a little while later, did you notice your clairs were kind of cranked up?
I was such an intuitive mom. Here was my fourth baby. We were brought her home to a rental home. We were moving into another large home. I really just had this ability to handle so many things at once. And I remember right before I went to the hospital, I drove my other children to school, and the principal was there, and she says, aren't you supposed to be having a baby right now? And I said, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the hospital after I bring my children to school. And she thought that was the most funniest thing, because I just had like this ability to handle so much, I guess. And after that experience, I was buzzing with just handling a lot of things that were going on in my life and taking care of the babies. I just seemed to have heightened skills.
Okay. Interesting. And that was the first one, or the second time you had that near death?
Fourth baby born. That was in 2007.
No, I mean your near death. The first or second?
One. Second.
That was your second, yeah.
The first one, I'll tell you, was also during childbirth. It was during the C-section. I don't think I had called on Mother Mary the night before. I knew that I was not allowed to go into labor, and I had been praying the rosary with some friends the night before. I end up going into labor, and the person on call doesn't want to do the C-section, so I'm left in labor too long, they say. So I get in, my original doctor shows up, hours later, and she does a C-section, and she yells at me during the procedure, and she says, Shelly, your uterus is so thin, I can see the umbilical cord right through it. And I was near rupture. I was right on that verge. The doctor could see the full umbilical cord. And I believe it was an intervention from Mother Mary, who I'd prayed to. I actually prayed to feel labor because I knew was not supposed to because of the first birth. Gave me the divine message not to take any more risks in that respect, because I didn't know I was going to have 2 more children. And this doctor said, you're not a patient I want to see have more children. And I said, well, good for you. But I went on to have 2 more children, survived just fine until the 4th one, and had the near death.
Wow. You, going back to my question, what do you think happens to us if we do die?
Well, I experienced my grandfather passing away. I had the wonderful experience of watching his soul exit his body, and it appeared light and fluffy. I have felt and seen the soul gently exit the body and leave the corner of the room. I believe that we go to a place where there is no pain, but there is some sort of a life being lived over there, because we're coming back and we're communicating. And you can have many jobs on the other side. You can, there's a lot of things that spirits on the other side do, not only help us here to know that we're loved and seen, but they sometimes will go on to help specific groups of people and things like that. So they do have jobs that they do over there.
Yeah, I think so too. We talk about a thing called the blue room, where you go first and kind of accept everything. Like, I bullied you in grade school. I have to feel what you felt like to be bullied. And if you bullied somebody as a result of that, I have to feel what they felt like. It's like the web, all the threads that connect. So all the negative stuff I experience, and then I have to agree to that, yeah, it's me. And then I get to do all the good ones. And then after that, I was talking to a dead person who said it was like I said, is it like going to school? And he said, yeah, it was like basically university. You learn, that's when your judgment is, I was saying removed. It's your judgment is no longer part of your being. You learn the reasons, you learn the answer to the question why. Why we exist, why we were born when we were born, why we die when we're dying, what the universe is all about, how the big picture. And then you get the rules. Like if you're ever talking to a dead person through a psychic, or if you're a psychic that communicates to dead people, you say, like, well, Jesus, does he have blue eyes or brown eyes? He'll just kind of shrug and smile, because those aren't things you're allowed to know. It's like, because that opens up a whole idea of belief system and things, and you don't ask specific questions like that. There's all sorts of riddly answers, but it's kind of funny when you're talking to people who have actually crossed over, because they can't talk about a lot of stuff.
For sure. Now,
and
I found during my sessions, remember, I didn't set out to be a medium or talk to dead people. They came to me. I find that they show themselves in a younger form, around 30 years old, around their prime time of life. And they will often, I remember doing this reading, I get called to do parties, by the way, mediumship parties. And I drove over to Napa, California. I'm here in the Bay Area, California. And this man, he kept showing me this leather jacket, and it was all about the leather jacket. And anyway, many people in the room got validation after that by that one thing that he showed, and he was showing himself at a younger time. Now, I'm not a person who studied every little thing about doing mediumship, so I only know what the angels have brought me. After that started happening, I backpedaled and wanted to know more, but so far so good. I kind of stay away from, what people think I should see and not see, and I let them guide me, on the other side, the souls that come. I have a little question for you. I often get souls that hang out with me and kind of like, I feel like they give me grace, or they help me or something. After I read for them, sometimes I'll feel their presence for a few days. Do you feel that?
No, because the one that I speak to is the one assigned to the individual.
Okay.
So they go with the individual. I describe him as being the in-between. Now, this is a person that stands to your left. In your case, she would be... Is it Irish side of your family? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's her. Is that your mother's mom?
That is my dad's mom.
Is your dad's mom? Okay. So she's always with you. She is your in-between. So when your spirit guides have to communicate with you immediately, unless you're a Buddhist bouncing around on a mat meditating for 20 hours a day, your vibrations are lower than your spirit guides, and they have to reach down a bit, and you'd have to reach up. And when your high vibration time of your day isn't exactly at the same time as, you're about to get in a car accident, that person is your gut feeling. That person is there to pass that message along really, really quickly. So that's what they do. But they also, not only are they standing beside you, because time is not linear, it's flat, they are going to their favorite dance hall when they were 20 years old. They're also drinking a glass of wine on the porch, and they're with everybody else. They're in many, many places at once. It's just that they're there with you. So when you walk away, they go with you, because they are important to keep you safe and keep you on path. Again, like the bumpers on a little kid's bowling lane. They're like smacking you back and forth as you're going down the path, on your life, through your life. So I don't get a residual feeling that they're around. I sometimes, oh no, those are ghosts. Yeah, ghosts will tag along, but that gets to be painful after, not painful, but it's a pain in the butt after a while. And I try to clear them out. I don't get that. I don't, even from card readings, I won't get something residual still hanging out. But the other thing too is I am not on your vibration. You are a greater vibration than I am, and you have way more of your clairs open up than I do. I'm beginning of path. You're 20 years into your path. So
sure.
it's I'm not where you are yet.
Oh, for sure. And well, never doubt when those clairs will turn on. I had, or open up. I had no idea that they would go to that level. And, during this time that we're all in this unique time right now, the clairs are able to open up much faster because there's less interference. And it's a beautiful time if every human has the ability to be a spiritual practitioner, where we are all getting messages from multiple sources. And it's a great time to be a human and tap into this energy.
Yeah, it is. It's very. We're going through that awakening that started about 15 years ago, and there's reasons for that are coming up. And I had an internet radio show back in 2014 where we talked about the shift and things that are changing on Earth, and the reason why more people should be tapping into their own vibration and understanding that it's more about community and all of us collectively, as opposed to it again back on ego, and it's all about our own individual about me. It's we got to get out of the whole me thing, where this is mine, this is going to benefit me, I'm only doing things to benefit me. We have to get into I do whatever I do benefits me, but it also benefits the community or others or my family. It's just, we have to open that up, and more of that is opening now, and we're seeing it. And this event that we're going through, this this virus, is just part of what we talked about 6 years ago that was coming. We talked about virus, we talked about political change around the world that would split countries in half. I see that going on in Australia right now with the way things are going with their political structure, and things are changing. Things are ramping up. We are going to start having to live with the earth a little more than living off of the earth, and trying to get our collective humanity back to supporting each other, as opposed to being more about ourselves, our greed, our putting a wall up around our country, our state, our city, our house, and saying, this is mine, you can't have anything.
Right.
If we don't do that, then we're kind of screwed. So,
absolutely.
And severe weather was a part of it. We talked about back in the day, we talked about political upheaval and change. We talked about anything from sunspots knocking out the power system to viruses, and then the whole ET issue in a few years. So it's been an interesting time. And this Marianne Morgan, who's a friend of mine, who's a psychic in the U.S., used to be on those TV series like Psychic Detective. She worked for the FBI and some government agencies, and finding dead bodies and things like that. In October, November last year, she would say, so you really, every time you go shopping, I want you to, pick up a few rolls of toilet paper, some canned goods, get some vegetable seeds, pack that away, maybe some flour. And she'd phone up, how's your pantry coming? Are you filled up? And it's like, yeah, just calm down. Everything's gonna be fine. She goes, oh, okay, just telling you, maybe you should start saving some things for what's coming. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? So she phoned me last week and she said, so how's the toilet paper and flour issue? I went, okay, I got a lot of flour. I can bake for 6 months, but you got some toilet paper you can send me? And she's laughing. I hate to say I told you so, but like, dude, really? Crazy. But I hope it's not affecting you guys too much, other than you're probably going batty in the house. With all the kids running around. Well, actually, you have an entire city living in your house, so it's not like you're isolated.
No, I have 4 children and myself, and I love my kids' home. My kids and I are very close, and that's the gift out of the life change that I am currently going through right now, is that I was able to be there for my kids for so many years, and I just chose to give them the things that I didn't have, which were parents that were present and available emotionally, and I love them home. I don't miss them going to school at all, and they're having their own experiences. And I used to say before this experience that, all light workers, they always say there's never been a time like this. Oh, this is happening, and now is the time to become enlightened, right? And here I am living through my first real time of change globally. And I am just ignited with the true essence of life and happiness and messages from the angelic realm, it is absolutely incredible. And I wake up in a state of gratitude every day. I do have all I need, even though I'm in a transition that should appear, scary and less being grounded. But I know that if you learn how to use the laws of our soul, of our universe, if you invoke your spiritual essence, whatever you're called to invoke, crystals, angels, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, there is a greater force that if you're open to it, you will have abundance and all you need and happiness. I am so happy right now at this time in my life. It can bring me to tears. And by society's descriptions, I should be scared out of my mind, but I'm not. So
no, I think you're well guided, and you've got more support than, but who your support is, and you've got support from all of your friends who are either at arm's length or on the other end of a phone. You've got a ton of support, human support, and then you've got spirit support. So you're going to be fine. You just keep going out there and touching other people's lives and kind of getting them switched on.
Yes.
We need more people switched on right now. It's for what's coming. You should be awake. And,
that is my job, to turn other people on and to, I feel like I'm rushing almost to help people right now. This divine inspiration that I have, because it's like speaking a language that I'm very proficient in. And when the earth slowed down like this, I had no idea that I would be so ignited with messages and passion.
Yeah, and it's good. It is good. We are talking to Shelly Marie. Please go to her website, shellymarie.net, see what she can do. And maybe it's something that you might be interested in. Angelic guidance. It's to help you live fearlessly. It's something that Shelly does, and she's really, really good at it. An amazing, amazing human, amazing being, having a human experience right now, up in California, or down in California. If you're from my house, you're down in California. But I really appreciate you dropping by, and I want to do this again because I want to ask you about guardian angels next time and a few other things, and on the angelic realm, and also just thanks very much, Shelly, for dropping by.
Well, thank you for having me here, and I look forward to having more conversations and doing a cord cutting for you.
Watching you while you sleep all alone.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey. Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing as they go. What are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Because somebody better hide on through the hill like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the men that are now. Run through the hill like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the men that are after. No!